Okay, thank you for joining me for this third and final video in this series about the Akasa Turing A50 case and the ASUS PN50 mini computer. We're going to install the parts from inside the PN50 inside the Akasa Turing case at this time. So let's take a look at it. Remove the 4 screws from the main cover. Remove the 4 screws from the back cover. Clean the surfaces of the square area within the case and the aluminum thermal module piece and the CPU chip with 90% isopropyl alcohol. These pieces will have thermal paste applied to them. Remove the backing from the self-adhesive thermal gap filler and apply it to the chip indicated as in the user manual in step number 2. Apply thermal paste to the CPU. Remove the backings from the thermal gap fillers already attached to the thermal module aluminum block. Align the aluminum thermal module with the 3 screw holes on the motherboard and use 3 screws from the kit to attach the module to the motherboard. Apply thermal paste to the large exposed side of the thermal module. I found the minuscule amount of thermal paste supplied with the kit to be inadequate, and I supplemented it with thermal paste which I purchased separately. Place the motherboard in the case with the thermal paste oriented downward and align the 4 screw holes at the corners of the motherboard with those on the case. Use the washers and screws supplied in the kit to secure the motherboard into the case. Plug the power button and indicator light cable into the motherboard. Next, if you are installing external Wi-Fi antennae, attach the connectors to the spot on the motherboard where you have removed the case's antenna connections when removing the motherboard from the PN50 case. These cables do not come with the Turing A50 kit and need to be purchased separately along with external antenna of your choice. If you will be installing external Wi-Fi antennas, remove both the black rubber plugs from the back cover at this time. Now is the time to reattach the back cover using the 4 screws you took out previously. Now remove the washer and nut from your external antenna connectors and place the connectors through the two holes which previously had the black rubber plugs in them. It will be much easier to put these connectors through the holes if you note that both the holes and the connectors have a flat side which must be aligned. When aligned, just push the connector through the hole. They do not screw in. I'll take just a moment to note that if your PN50 was like mine, you have a configurable port that was located on the back side of the PN50 just below the HDMI port. In my case, it was a display port. The Turing case does not make an accommodation for this configurable port, and I did not see an easy way to attach the port to the case or motherboard, even if one were to cut a hole in the back side for this extra port. Unless Akasa comes out with a special backplate to accommodate this port, you will have to do without it. Next, there are 5 EMI gaskets that need to be placed on various ports. It is best to refer to Step 7 of the user manual for exact placement. Some of these locations already had these shields in place. I removed the existing ones and replaced them with the ones in the kit. Okay, we are on the home stretch now. If you have a SATA drive, attach your drive to the brackets with the longer end of the brackets toward the end of the drive with the connectors. Do not do as I did and forget to first insert the clear plastic rectangular insulating piece between the brackets and the drive. Otherwise, you'll have to open the case back up again and disassemble the brackets to do just that. Insert the SATA cable into the SATA connector. Now screw the bracket of your SATA drive onto the main cover. Plug the SATA connector into the SATA drive. Now's the time to place your RAM in the proper slots. Insert your NVMe drive if you have one and screw it into place on the motherboard. Now insert the SATA cable into the connector on the motherboard. Screw the main cover onto the case. Attach external Wi-Fi antennas to the connectors on the back plate. Just screw them in. Finally, screw the standoffs into either or both ends of the case, depending on how you want to orient it, horizontally or vertically. And then screw the decorative silver end covers into place. At that point, you are pretty much finished. Just screw these little feet onto the bottom of the case, and just to go over a few things, when you are finished, you will have an unused fan connector on the motherboard. The SD card slot will not be accessible. The microphones will not be usable. And the configurable port below the HDMI port on the back side of the case, whatever that port might be, will also have to be sacrificed. You will need to purchase antenna leads and external antennas to use if you plan on using Wi-Fi or Bluetooth. I would also recommend purchasing extra thermal paste as well. Note that you'll get a BIOS error when you first turn the PN50 back on unless you changed a couple of settings in the BIOS before putting your PN50 into the new case. So press the delete or F2 keys when booting up. Then go to the monitor tab and change CPU fan speed monitoring to ignore instead of monitor. I also turned CPU Q fan to disabled. I don't know whether that's necessary, but this was the first setting that I actually disabled, and it was not sufficient to keep the BIOS from erroring out when first booting up. How has performance been? Well, without a doubt, my CPU temperatures have been substantially lower than when it was in the original case. When under load, my CPU would regularly exceed 90 degrees Celsius. Now it peaks at around 58 or 59 degrees, but normally runs at 40 to 50 degrees. Actual performance has also increased, and I've noticed that when rendering video files, it's much faster than before because there is much less thermal throttling going on. In any case, thank you for watching, and feel free to like this video and subscribe to my channel. If you want to be notified of any new videos, please make sure you click on the notification bell. All right, thank you, and so long for now.